Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing the Supernova Splash of 2017. This was absolutely the star of SIHH that year. The Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Perpetual Calendar Black Ceramic. If you've lived in fear of knocks and nicks, scratches and scuffs on the immaculately finished steel, titanium, gold, or platinum Royal Oaks of the past, this ultralight and hypoallergenic, virtually unscratchable Royal Oak in black ceramic is the watch for you. It is nearly invulnerable. Now, the timepiece is a 41mm Royal Oak Perpetual Calendar, and as you can see, it is nicely proportioned, only 9.5mm thick, 41mm in diameter, from lug to lug, 50.8mm, or if you include these rigid end links that actually flare out a little bit, then it's 53.7mm across the wrist. It is very light. The hardware, when present, is titanium. The rest of the watch is ceramic, and those two are very light materials. On my 16cm circumference wrist, you can see from overhead, it's an easy fit. I could recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14cm circumference. Now, if you look at it, the cuff shot proves it'll slide underneath any sleeve, so this can be a dress watch. And then if you look down the barrel, you can see just how much the bracelet expands and curves at the edge, proving it's nowhere near the limit of wrist size. You could wear this on a much smaller wrist, and it is very light. Now, taking a look at the hardware, and I use that term here to describe both the bracelet and the clasp, you can see that remarkably the same finish rendered on a metal Royal Oak bracelet has been affected here, and you have satin on the top, you have polished interfaces to the intermediate links, you can see them as you roll it through the light, a perfectly aligned polished bevel along the link flanks, and then vertical satin finish on the side. It takes 30 hours to finish this bracelet, and between 6 and 10 hours to finish a steel or gold Royal Oak bracelet, which is to say, using the same manual techniques but on hardier tools. It takes up to 5 times as long to finish this bracelet as it does a standard Royal Oak. This is still artisanal craft. Now, you can see bars are used for retention of the bracelet because of its uncommon construction. And then we have a twin deployant clasp with twin trigger release. You can see internally it is titanium with satin finish as well as media blasting. It's quite handsome, and it feels sturdy enough to be the clasp on an offshore. Now, as you can see, it is a sequential closure. We'll remove this. With the AP logo external. Now, taking a quick look at the case itself, it's a Royal Oak. There's not a whole lot that changes here, but because of the number of through case fitting, despite the screw down crown, this is 20 meters water resistant. So this is probably its one limitation. You can't take it swimming. Quel dommage. You have a Royal Oak offshore diver for that. Now, the watch features the same finish you would get on a metal Royal Oak with its case. You have the expanding bevel over the lug hoods, the satin finish. You have the sharp contour lines that break the flanks into facets rather than appearing as a conventional round watch. You have those facets that continue the character lines of the bezel through the case back, and a combination of satin and polish, including on the bezel itself. And you can see those white gold recessed bezel bolts, and then the flanks are rounded and polished. The tops are satin finished and nicely squared off to the polished elements. The dial is a Grande Tapisserie and a sort of best described as a nickel anthracite. It's not quite black, but it's more intense than gray. It is the Grande Tapisserie, and it is cut on a pantograph. This is not a stamped dial. The offshores are stamped. These are still cut on the traditional mimicry lathe. Now, the dial, of course, has all the features of the Royal Oak Perpetual calendar with weekly calendar function, caliber 5134. There's a chapter ring outboard that represents the 52 weeks of the year, and there's a white varnished indicator that indicates the current week. The rest of the dial has polished chapter rings surrounding several registers, some of which are mono counters, and it actually has a lovely cruciform symmetry. You can split it top to bottom or side to side, and it'll still be symmetrical. At the base, you can see the moon phase, which includes aventurine glass, which is a sort of blue enamel with metallic elements added to resemble aventurine mineral, and then it has a photorealistic moon phase. There is, of course, the day, the date, the month, as well as a leap year phase indicator coaxial with the month indicator up at 12 o'clock. Caliber 5134, visible through the case back, is based on the JLC 920, originally designed in 1967 for Audemars Piguet and Vacheron. Today, Audemars builds this movement from the base plate up in-house, so it is AP's movement. It's also important to note that it's the same basic movement that you'll find in the Royal Oak Jumbo. So it is an automatic winder with unidirectional action, a 40-hour power reserve, a free-sprung Gyromax style balance, 38 joules. It beats away at 19,800 vibrations per hour, and it has a fascinating winding system as the base movement itself is less than 2.5 millimeters thick, and that's achieved by using an annular rotor. And the weight is on one side, but if you look carefully, you can see there's a beryllium ring that runs all the way around the movement. It actually pivots on 4 ruby rollers that prevent the rotor as well as the ring from crashing into the bridges or plates in the event of shock. The movement is handsomely finished, and you can see, I'll try to show as best I can here, but the bevels on this movement, the 5134 as with the 2121 and the Jumbo, they are real rounded mirrored bevels. They are not the machined edges you get in a standard Royal Oak or offshore. The black head screws, black polished on their head, chamfered in their slots as well as their circumference, are hand-finished screws. And the rotor is handsomely executed, if not quite as intricate as the Jumbo and Perpetual calendar rotors of old. It is a handsomely executed movement with broad and luminous Côte de Genève, truly worth the price of admission inside and out. Reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this Royal Oak Perpetual calendar black ceramic. And we're back with the Royal Oak Perpetual calendar by night.